Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. How many had seen this show before you got here today? Okay, so we showed you the first episode again. It's always worth reviewing. Isn't it a great show? It's a great show. Man on the Inside. And very excited to be here as part of the Netflix FYC LA. It's going on for the next 2 weeks. And we are doing our very first taping here of the actor's side live in front of an audience. We have never done in all the years we've done this in front of an audience. So you're the first, which is exciting for me. And we are really happy to have this one as our first live one. Ted Danson has earned Golden Globe, SAG, and Critics' Choice nominations for his portrayal of Charles already. And this year he was the recipient of the Carol Burnett Award at the Golden Globes, which was really exciting as well. And you know Ted Danson. I could go on and on about this career, and I probably will right after I bring him out. Please welcome to the actor's side, Ted Danson. Woo! All right, grab the mic. And welcome to the actor's side, where we like to talk about all things acting. I have to say something before we start on this. Ted Danson, I think, is in the Guinness Book of World Records, or should be, because he has done more regular roles on television series than anybody in history. 12 different shows you've been a regular on.
Wow.
Wow. In your career. That's pretty amazing. And that set a record.
That's good. Is that true?
That is true.
Oh, wow. You'll discover I'm fabulous.
It should be.
The fabulous did play, so maybe it's not.
Should we check the mic again?
Hello.
There we go.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, technical things.
I'll stop being. That's cool, and it's because I've been lucky enough to be around amazing writers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just came from work, so I'm all of a sudden.
And guess what? He's shooting the second season of this show.
It was my wife, Mary Steenbridge, and playing my love interest, so it's like amazing.
Wow.
Spoiler.
How did you get her to do it?
She loves Mike Shore. So
Yeah. You actually met Mary working on a movie.
Did.
Pontiac Moon, was
Yeah,
it?
we don't mention the name of the film. The film was one of those movies where the dialogue was so good that you didn't pay attention to the fact that all of a sudden there was no third act. It just kind of fell off there.
Yeah.
So we call it a lovely first date. Thank you, Sherry Lansing.
That's at Paramount. Okay. Well, we're right near Paramount here tonight where we're doing this, but we're at Netflix, and Netflix, this show has gone around the world instantly. You know, I mean, how is it different than doing all the network stuff, obviously Cheers, Becker, on and on and on, that you've done network-wise, and then, to do something on Netflix where it's a whole different ballgame?
It's the instantaneous, if something you do hits a chord, and it hits a chord on Netflix, it's a very powerful moment because it happens instantaneously all over the world. So that was, Cheers was, a lot of things. God, I haven't talked all day. Sorry, I'll get there. Cheers built over years, when syndication happened to it, you could feel it, but it was this gradual thing you got used to. This was stunning and fun.
Yeah. I should mention you were nominated for an Emmy all 11 seasons on Cheers. You've had 18 Emmy nominations, but all 11 seasons, but you didn't win finally until like way in 7 or 8 season or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was that was kind of unusual, though.
Yeah, I would. I'll wear these cufflinks. That'll do it. Nope, no. I won't write a speech. I will write a speech. You go through all the shenanigans. I was. You kind of learn to be. Here's the thing. The driving home in the car at night. You promise your kids that you're going to call them, and so every time was. Daddy, no, not this time, but it's, we had a great time, it was fun, good night. You know, you have to be philosophical. The best thing about winning is you don't have to be philosophical. You can just say, thank you, and it's very relaxing. Otherwise, you have to work hard being philosophical. But thanks for the loser.
I mean, it's funny. Did you ever think, maybe I'm just never going to win for this show? Because you were so good, in and out, consistently. And as that show became a giant hit, I think it started off, it did not have big ratings in the first
No, we were dead last one. It was 70, there were like 72 or something shows on the air. It was back during 3 networks and maybe then Fox. Yeah, we were dead last one week, literally, in the ratings. Brandon Tartikoff, he was head of programming at NBC, was credited for being, the genius who kept Cheers on the air, and he later confessed, we would have replaced it, we had nothing to replace it with. So we were just lucky. And the press, you all kept us alive.
Yeah.
You really did, yeah.
It was no problem. I'm happy to do it.
My kids and grandkids, thank you.
I actually worked at that time on Entertainment Tonight, right on the same lot that you were shooting Cheers on. We used to go and hang out at the bar, and when no one was there. And so,
I remember, yeah, Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
Kind of the end of news as we knew it, because they couldn't compete with you guys. All of a sudden they decided to be newsy, entertaining kind of.
That's true. Yeah, that was true. We've changed everything. Sorry about that too. When I look at your list of shows, God, these are all good shows. You know how to pick them, Ted. I have to say. Damages, for which you were nominated for Emmys. You played that corrupt billionaire in that. I've seen that come to life lately. There's a lot of corrupt billionaires now out there running things. The Good Place. How many of you saw The Good Place? Yeah, amazing show.
Same writer. Sorry to
Mike
interrupt.
Schur, right?
Mike Schur, who wrote this, also did The Good Place, and he's one of those amazing, thoughtful, purposeful writers who, he's funny. There are a lot of those, but he wants to put things out in the world that make a difference, that are meaningful, purposeful. The Good Place came from his mind, and that's kind of who he is in everyday life. That, trying to be ethical, trying to do a little bit better every day in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that kids, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, each new group of 11, 12, 13-year-olds end up being exposed to that show by their parents or something. So
wow.
It stays alive because it's this wonderful, yes, here's something funny, but it's about something. It's about how to live a purposeful, ethical life. And
yeah.
Yeah.
It was such an unusual idea for, kind of a network situation, sitcom. I don't even know if that term applies to it. It's not describing it the right way. But it was so different than anything else that had been on the air.
Yeah, hats off to NBC, Universal, because he talked to me. He was very sweet and said, you're one of my favorite actors, and so my ears perked up. But then he talked for an hour, and I mean literally telling the whole story. He is incredibly bright, and I could barely understand what he was talking about, but it was so... His brain was so amazing. And Kristen Bell was already attached to it. So it was like this easy yes,
And Kristen Bell's with Netflix right now also has a new show.
Wonderful show.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah. And Nobody Wants This?
Nobody, yeah. And
Adam Brody, they're really, it's a great couple. That coupling is wonderful.
Yeah, they're great. And so both of you have done really well in your career. It's still going.
Sure repertory company.
It's still going strong. Becker, I love Becker. Matt Weiner was, who did Mad Men, was a writer on that show as well.
Yeah.
And CSI. How many remember Ted from CSI? Okay.
It was a brief diversion in my career. It was the hardest show I think I ever did. Hats off to the actors, the writers, the directors. It was an amazing show, but you couldn't, it was very hard to be funny in it because of the subject matter. Plus, they don't want you to be funny at the very end of a scene, which is usually when you can throw in a little button, a little humorous thing, because the humor would make the audience forget about the facts of the mystery. So it was very much like a soap opera. You were always, in a way, and this was the most popular show in the world for years before I got there. But it really was. It was huge.
Yeah.
And but it was like a soap opera because you were always basically talking to the audience.
Right.
You know, it'd be like me coming in to say, "Do you remember when you started this 5 minutes ago and you introduced me?" And you're going, "Yes," but you're trying to remind the audience all the time.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
You actually started in soaps, though.
I did.
Right?
And it was the scariest job I ever had.
Really?
Ever. My first day,
Yeah.
my first day, this was at NBC. I was hired to be the man about town, always, seducing women and all of this stuff. And my first day, the night before, I had my, age 24 in New York. Nervous breakdown? No, but anxiety attack. Full-on anxiety attack.
Wow.
And I called this wise friend. He went, no, don't, because I was going, I can't, I just can't. He said, don't do that, don't cut your nose off. So take a Valium and get up and go. Took a Valium to discover me and Valium do not do well. And I got up, and even as soon as I woke up, I was sheets of like Broadway news sweat. Could not stop perspiring. So I sat down opposite this actress who had been on the show for years and was calm and cool, and I was supposed to be making her nervous by coming on to her. Sheets of just sweat. And the producer went, no, we'll make him the town sleaze. He'll be the guy who turns his friends into the mafia. So I played a town sleaze because I couldn't stop.
That was Somerset, right? Was that
Yes.
Somerset? And you also did The Doctors.
For one episode.
One episode.
Also terrible.
Really?
I was supposed to be. The reason why I was having an anxiety attack, I'd gotten hired by both shows the same day and said yes to both, and then they got furious. And so Somerset won, but I had to do The Doctors, and that day I was supposed to be reassuring this poor couple whose child had cancer, and I was supposed to be the wise, reassuring young doctor. And back then they didn't have teleprompters, they had cue cards. And this union guy was slapping around like this. And so I had the safety of knowing at least the cue card was there as I was trying to get my lines. And he dropped one and it wafted onto the set, onto my lap. But they were above my lap, so they didn't care. So they kept shooting, and I'm just, I was a terrible soap opera actor. Horrible.
It's lucky you found work elsewhere then.
Very.
Now, I remember you very well because I'm also a film critic. I go to movies all the time, and I remember you specifically in The Onion Field because of that character playing bagpipes that you had, Ian
Campbell.
Yeah. And that was your first film, right?
It was, Harold Becker.
Yeah.
Did Harold Becker recently pass?
He did.
Yeah, but just before that, he had a showing of the film at the Arrow in Santa Monica, and I was able to go, and it's very sweet to see him. But it was a true story, based on Hollywood Police Division, and two policemen were pulled over they pulled over these hoods for just a silly tail light was out, and they got kidnapped by the hoods and taken the onion fields in Bakersfield, and my character was shot and killed, and John Savage's character ran away. But it changed the rules for the police department that you can never ever surrender your gun, no matter what. You're not allowed to do that.
Such a significant film.
It was, and it was also, they had all the people who were friends of Ian Campbell who were still alive. It was really not just making my first film. It was like an homage, to the LA Police Department. It's It's really cool.
Did you have to learn how to play the bagpipes, or?
They took me to this teacher in the valley somewhere, and they said, "We have 3 weeks. Teach them how to play the bagpipes." This is something that takes 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
No. So they put corks in the end of all the little pipes, so I could, at least fill the bag with air.
It was great. And I also remember you very well in a great movie Larry Kasdan directed, Body Heat, with Kathleen Turner and the late great William Hurt and.
Late great. I still can't. I mean, the late great, yes, but the late part.
I know.
It's hard to get used to. Yeah. Anyway.
It's but that was a great one, and then of course, God, you got to work with Jack Lemmon.
I did.
Dad,
Yes.
Which, had to
one
be
of my great joys. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Olympia Dukakis. Yeah.
Yeah. What was he like to work with? On Dad. Yeah.
A true gentleman, very kind, very supportive. The dude could eat scenery if he wanted to. He could be a ham beyond belief. He was so good in that. He was so he's one of my favorite actors. He's one of those people who could do comedy, drama, and turn on a dime.
That's what you do.
Kinda,
you
yeah.
sort of follow it. I mean, the shows we're talking about, Damages and other things, and you go and do comedy, and of course, 3 Men and a Baby.
3 Men and a Baby. Wow. Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw Steve Guttenberg. He was out saving cars.
Saving, literally.
In the fires.
Saving lives, yeah.
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 Unbelievable. But did you know that was going to be that big a hit? And of course, it's a sequel.
No, I didn't. I was new to that kind of world. Jeffrey Katzenberg would call us every week and go, "You won't believe it." And then the second one came out, and we were going to be huge. And he said, "I think it's going to be big. It's going to be even bigger. There's this one movie we're keeping our eye on. It's called Home Alone." But we'll knocked us off. Yeah.
Home Alone. I know. Who knew? You actually worked with Macaulay Culkin too, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm blanking. Yeah. What's it called? Dad. Something.
Yeah. Was
I'm 77. It's okay. No, I'm just trying to remember what it was. Do you remember?
the Macaulay Culkin film. I don't know, but it's something to do with Dad.
Let's go with
Getting even
that.
with Dad.
Yes,
there
well
we
done.
go.
Getting even
Getting
with that.
even with Dad. It's all in my head somewhere,
Yeah.
Ted. Here,
Yeah.
it will come back. And but wow, he was just huge star.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. He worked hard too.
Did he?
Yeah, I felt had a lot of respect for him and felt sorry for him. I remember the only time he behaved in any way that wasn't just perfect at, I don't remember how old, but not, 10, 11 or something,
Yeah.
12, something, they made him work on his birthday. And I thought, wow, and he had to suck it up and do it, but it was the one time I saw him be really angry.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just mentioned.
Mary is working with Kieran on a film, Kieran McCullough, the same time
Oh,
that I
yeah.
was working with Macaulay.
And
Who's an amazing actor.
yeah, Kieran just won an Oscar,
Yeah.
and he's on Broadway in Glengarry Glen Ross right now,
He's amazing, yeah.
and he won an Emmy in Succession. So
Yeah.
he's having a moment.
Yeah.
You just mentioned you're 77.
Right.
I have to say, you don't look 77.
Took a village this morning. I went to work. I just came from work, so this is Hollywood.
It takes a village,
Yeah,
does it?
yeah.
But the show we're talking about here, Man on the Inside, which is inspired by a magnificent documentary, Mady Alberti. I remember seeing it when it came out. It got nominated for an Oscar. I interviewed her, and she also has subsequently done another wonderful documentary about aging and what happens.
Right.
And
It's a beautiful, if you haven't seen it, it's called The Mole Agent. And
The Mole Agent.
Spectacular. It's out of Santiago, Chile.
Yep.
And it's what literally inspired, not really. They wanted to make sure, they had to change it to make it be able to be a series, so they added characters, but they kept the heart and soul of that show.
When I heard they were doing a television, comedy series based on that movie, I couldn't imagine where it might go. But what Michael Schur has done and what you have done, it's so human and so wonderful and so against what we hear about Hollywood, in giving work and making stories about older people and what happens in life. It's so refreshing to see this.
It is, and he continues. We have, well, I'm still in the show, and I mean, he. What do I want to say about that? The conversation in this country about aging and death and memory loss and that whole thing is something we shy away from, and this was so sweetly done. And what I found inspiring is the message is kind of, no, don't die until you die. Just keep inspiring people by staying out there in the world, and you still have something to contribute, and just the fact that you are still up there and doing something and contributing is also an inspiration to younger people. It means you don't have a shelf life. You can continue to be contributing to society no matter how old you are. We just spent the afternoon. Mary made a film. I'm on speed, too much coffee, sorry. But we had an afternoon with her friend Jane Fonda. She made
the book club.
Yeah, films.
Couple of them.
She changed my life. She really did. I was 70 when I met her, and she was 80, and I was just starting to look for this gentle place to glide. And okay, calm down, Ted. Let's find a resting place. And she was like, no, keep your foot on the accelerator, and she works tirelessly, and she goes off and raises money for candidates. She works on climate change issues. She's really astounding, and she really
did Fire. Remember Fire Fridays? I mean, amazing.
I got arrested with her because,
I was going to ask if you were among the arrestees.
I was. It's a bit of a champagne arrest. For example, I mean, it's civil disobedience. So there was a rally, there was a march, and then you go someplace prearranged that is illegal for you to go. And actually, this day, the Capitol Police said, I know the plan was go on the Capitol steps, but we have a genuine security issue. So if you go there, you will go to real jail. So it was like, okay. So we went to an intersection where it was illegal to block traffic and arranged. And then, they give you a chance, Mr. Danson, this is your last warning. And I said, thank you, I'm going to be arrested. But I have these really bad shoulders. Do you mind handcuffing me in the front? Oh, no, Mr. Danson, that'll be fine. So it was like, don't cry for me, Argentina, that I was arrested. But it did have an impact on me, because it was like, I've been an ocean advocate and done a lot
As long as I have heard and known Ted Danson, you have been a champion of the oceans and keeping them the way they are.
And check out Oceana if you don't know it. It's an amazing organization. Thank you. But I realized after that experience that I was kind of resting on my laurels. Oh, I gave at the office. I'm working on ocean issues. Not good enough. Climate change is such a, well, you all know. I don't have to tell you. So no, you got to keep doing, Ted. You have to get out there and work harder and not rest on any laurels or hide behind, you're doing something. Get out there and, make a difference. So she really, Jane Fonda, made a difference in my life at age 80. And what an inspiration to younger women, too, because there is a little bit of a message out there that you women have a bit of a shelf life. No, you don't, and you have to look at people, and my wife is 72 and, on fire and working and doing all sorts of wonderful things. So that's Mike Schur, that's what he's done with this. It's the mole agent too, but this is Mike Schur. He's such a thoughtful, purposeful man in his life and how he writes. I could not admire anybody more than him, really, truly.
And I do know that the Alzheimer's Association has been out at events and things, and they are championing this show. It means so much to them to see this portrayed.
Can we give a shout out to Susan Rattan? You know,
She's amazing. She was in LA Law, and she's playing someone with dementia here.
Yes, and if she had had a false note playing somebody who had memory loss and dementia, and the audience would have gone, "Oh, great! You're making use of this very serious, condition, illness, for the purpose of your drama. Screw you, kind of thing." And she was so spot on that people would come up to us afterwards, family members, and thank us. And just one short story of the effect of Mike Schur's work. A lady came up at a restaurant, and usually I have a kind of a pat way to be polite and nice, but I'm also eating, so you could cut it short a little bit. And for some reason I didn't. And she started to tell us the story of, she and her family lost a child recently, and their other child would not come out of their room. And for some reason, they started to watch A Man on the Inside, and stopped when they realized where it was going, went in and talked to the daughter and talked her into coming. So anyway, they got to watch together as a family and create community while, to deal with their grief. And she was just thankful and sweet. And that's kind of one of the messages of this piece is don't isolate, be part of a community, stay active, keep contributing, make things better, keep going.
Isn't that the story of your career now, too? That you talked about Jane as an inspiration, personally and in every way, but also just like the fact that you just keep turning it out and working, and that keeps you young.
Yes, but I mean, yes, sorry, I don't know why. False humility always sucks. And I'm full of it, sorry. I am. Yes, I show up and whatever I've done. Yes, I am part of this equation, but it's also these amazing writers, some of them who you've mentioned, but it always starts with the written word. Then that brings in a director who's interested in a cast, and then you have a shot at doing something interesting, but it's really the writing. So I've been very lucky with writers. And Cheers, go back to the very beginning. You and I would not be sitting here if Cheers hadn't been the massive hit that it was. Ted was part of it. Ted, jeez, call myself Ted. Could we do that for the rest for the afternoon? Thank you. No. I was part of an ensemble. I was the tall guy. I was the bar owner, but Cheers was this brilliant ensemble.
Yeah.
So brilliant ensemble, brilliant writing. I got to play Sam Malone, and that's why everything else happened. I got so many up at bats because of Cheers.
Yeah.
So
and people
credit
still
to
watch
our
it.
dues.
They still love Cheers. In fact, George Wendt, I'm so sorry, he just last week he died, and what a great actor, and part of
Still
that
sounds so strange.
Yeah.
To be saying that in front of an audience with a microphone, but yeah.
I know, but part of that family and part of that, forever. But we love George Wendt and all of that. And you do a podcast with Woody Harrelson.
As the head podcast is called, Where Everybody Knows Your Name, with Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson. Sometimes. If anyone knows Woody Harrelson, sometimes is an important thing.
He doesn't always show up.
No, he's all around the world making movies, and he loves his life. No, when he says he's going to show up, he shows up.
Yeah.
At first I thought, oh dear God, I can't smoke dope and work. And he always smokes dope. He doesn't.
Yeah.
When he works, he works. So anyway, and it was much fun, but yeah.
I was working for AMC Networks, and they got Woody Harrelson to narrate this documentary, and I had to make sure he was in Maui. And he didn't have a watch, he didn't have a phone, he didn't have anything. We just had to hope that he would show up in this little studio in the middle of Maui, and he did. He walked in finally, but we had no way of knowing.
Yeah. Well, welcome to my world. Yeah, literally.
Changed?
No, and he's this free, wild spirit. Yeah, on other people's backs, His poor wife has to carry the phone, Anyway, I love him so much, and he's such a unique person.
Before we go, I have to say two things. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that you played yourself 34 episodes or something. It was so fun, and I'm so sad that show is over.
Boy, he changed that format of sitcom.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a sitcom, but it was a half-hour comedy, and he turned that whole thing on its ear,
So
such a funny man. I do credit him, which I hate doing in public because my relationship with him is combative in the show, so it's fun to do that in public. But after Becker, I did a couple things that didn't quite work, and I thought, I've stayed too long at the half-hour party, and I probably had. And jokes were, if I saw a joke on a page, I started to sweat. It was other people have been funny, and I'm not. So I called Jeffrey and said, put me in any movie, just anything. You don't have to pay me, small part. And so off I went in this different direction. And then Larry David said, why don't you come just play yourself? And just showing up and doing comedy like that with no pressure rehabilitated my joy of looking for funny.
That's so great. And I have to say, too, before we go, let's mention the other cast members, at least a few of them, in this show. They are so good, including Stephen McKinley Henderson.
Oh my God, you know his work.
I know his work. Fences, I actually interviewed him once on stage with the whole cast of Fences, but I didn't know at that time how many things he'd done on
all of August Wilson, pretty much. He's been
everything.
every August Wilson.
And he was so great with you. I think it was episode, maybe the last episode of this, and then the episode before on this show, if you haven't seen all of it.
He's one of those actors, his sense of truth is just so deep. You just fall into him, and he makes you good. He's one of those actors.
Just brilliant. And Sally Struthers.
Sally Struthers.
She's great in this, too. It's so great to see all of them. John Getz and... my God, the whole cast here that has been...
Mary Elizabeth Ellis, who plays my daughter, is brilliant.
She's great.
Yeah. Lila Rich Creek.
Yeah.
Estrada plays the head of the private investigating firm.
Yeah.
And is brilliant. And everybody gets to grow and expand this year. And some of the old faces come back. So
I was going to ask, and of course you're shooting now, and he came from the set, and he's been working all day, so I'm going to let him go. But tell us everything that happens in season 2.
Okay, so very funny car chases.
Okay.
It is funnier.
Yeah.
Because we're not in a home where people are dying. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
this show set such a perfect tone, though, in going from comedy and everything. So season 2, we're going to see a little bit different.
Yep, it takes place, I can say, in a college. So that has a nice whole new thing, and the crime's a little more serious, and
we're solving crimes.
We are.
So you're the new Jessica Fletcher, Ted, somehow. Wherever you go, there's a murder to solve or something.
Yes, but who's Jessica? I'm sorry.
Angela Lansbury.
Oh my God. Sorry. Wow. Did you ever get to interview her?
I did.
Talk about longevity.
Oh my God, I almost killed her. Actually.
Well done.
Yeah, you say, sitting in a chair like this, she was in a movie, and they had brought out, Universal says we don't trust the chairs at this theater, the Fine Arts in Beverly Hills. So they brought out their own chairs, and I introduced her, and she sat in their director's chair, and she fell straight to the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? This is why I love a live audience. This is so cool. But fell straight to the floor, got up, and said, "I love a great pratfall."
My God.
That's a trooper.
How old do you think she was when she was still working? I mean,
she
she's
was-
Jane Fonda-like.
Yeah.
She was out there forever.
Forever, and she started so young.
Yeah.
She played the older, man.
Always a matronly. Yeah, Manchurian Candidate. She was probably in her 30s or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. She played Elvis's mother in Blue Hawaii, and she was like 2 years older. So it's kind of crazy. Anyway, I digress. But Ted Danson, so much fun. Thank you for coming out on the actor's side and telling us all these great stories.
Thank you. Sorry it was a slow start.
Oh, no.
But this has been fun. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.